So this is our house. We're in the northwest province of Zambia, living with the Lundas. This is been here for 2 years. This is a mango tree out front, and this arch has loofahs growing on it. Loofahs are a plant that you can dry out. It's like a gourd you can dry out and then you can use to bathe. So you can see these loofahs hanging off. So if I picked and dried these out, they'd be a sponge looking thing. And we have an avocado tree inside. Yeah, so we have, these are a couple little trees that are waiting to have homes. And they're in pots here. So I think people will probably come and get them the next couple days. On the front of this veranda, we have some more loofahs. And in this flower bed here, there is just some zinnias and things, but then this is a narangila. It's in the tomato pepper family, and it makes these fuzzy yellow fruits that you can actually eat. And a lot of people juice them. And yeah, it's also a pretty plant, which is why it's here. Part of this front planter is this kind of decrepit improved cooking stove thing. So you put the firewood down there, and then you would put a pan here, and you can cook. It's actually really fast and easy. It's just been rained on a lot because it's in the drip line of the roof. So we're in the middle of rain season right now, so it's been raining every day. So it's been kind of worn down. So this side of the house, we have an oven. Okay, so in the oven, got this aluminum door, and inside the oven there is a wire screen. Here we go. But this is for drying fruit on. So the idea is that to cook bread, you put just a bunch of wood in there. Then I normally crack the door, and there's a chimney in the back, and so it heats up for normally like 45 minutes or so. And after 45 minutes, once it's really hot, you can use the residual heat to cook bread. What you would do to dry fruit is, after you've cooked bread and it's already cooled down considerably, is what I've learned, is that it needs to be pretty darn cool. You could slice up, normally for us it's bananas, put it on this rack. The rack slides on the top here. And then you can crack the door, and so there's cool, moist air coming in, but then it gets all this dry, hot air from the coals that are left. And so it'll hopefully whisk a lot of that moisture out of the fruit and come out through the chimney. Is the idea. It's kind of been a trial and error thing. I've had a couple of successful tests with it. This, just next to the oven, is a little wood shed. Because it's raining every day, I keep some wood in there so that I have something to burn. If you come to the backyard here, I'm burning some paper and stuff, which is why there's a little fire. You can see we've got these big banana trees. There's a clump of bananas hanging off. And the bananas, you cut the whole tree down when you harvest a clump of bananas, because each stalk will only fruit once. But you can see they're all coming out of this big root system beneath the whole clump. So you cut this whole stalk down, and then another one will pop right back up to fill its place. You can see there's a couple different generations of bananas growing in here. This little baby one. One of the things we have behind the house here is this water catchment system, which is just a fancy name for a gutter. And yeah, it's a piece of split bamboo that I just got a big piece of yellow bamboo, split it all the way down. I had to knock out all the little dividers that are in the bamboo. You can see it's just wired to the roof here. It's got a little support to the wall. And that all is piped to this big 55-gallon drum, which said Shell on the side. I think a petroleum company when I got it. So I've been washing it out. I don't drink the water that comes out of it, but we use it for bathing and stuff. But yeah, it gets piped into the top of this drum, and then for about 6 months a year here, we can have running water, which it only takes about 45 minutes of a rainstorm to to get this barrel all the way full. Then it'll last for a long time, and so this is one of my favorite things that we use. So we have also a compost pile, which once you cut down a banana tree, I've been turning it into compost, and so because it's got a lot of green and brown matter, you can chop it up and it'll go from this to something like this within the course of 2 to 3 months. What's been happening. But it makes a nice dark compost, which isn't super pretty, but does have a lot of nutrients. So I've been using that a lot in the garden. Got a guava tree. And yeah, so this is the house garden, which is also kind of decrepit looking because haven't been planting stuff in it. I've been out of sight for a couple weeks, and so yeah. But there's a couple beds here, do crop rotation. I've had a lot of peas, a lot of beans, and a lot of different stuff. We don't have many plants right now, but here, these are yard-long beans, so they'll create these really long string bean kind of things, but they'll be purple. They've got a pepper plant, and then this is turmeric, actually. This guy is turmeric, so you can dig up his roots. And then just some different, there's some Thai basil, some normal basil. And this is our shower shelter, which is looking pretty rough, again, because of rain season. Everything kind of just flops over. On this side of the house, we have a little herb garden here, which has some basil, parsley, some aloe vera. Yeah, and this is where we wash dishes. Lots of dishes. This is one of my favorite things, actually. It's just a little pole shed that's just out of bamboo, which it only took like 2 hours to build, but it keeps bikes and tools in here. And then behind the pole shed, there's this little house, which in our time here has served as a dog house, a puppy house. We also grew mushrooms in it for a short time. Yeah, so it's kind of a multi-use little facility. Then above we have these lots of banana trees. One of my favorite things about this house is banana trees shade about half of the house. So it stays relatively cool. And also unlimited bananas. We always have too many bananas, so that's nice. This is our dry season garden. So it's October right now, so the garden is rocking and rolling. So you can see this is a leguminous tree nursery that we're going to use for alley cropping. There's a couple species in there. Then we have some broccoli and zinnias. And let's see, these are going to be yard-long beans as they're mature. There's a few different pumpkins and things, some Swiss chard that hasn't quite grown yet. And those are some peas. The fence is to keep out goats. Inside here we've got mostly tomatoes right now. There's some herbs here. There's 7 different kinds of tomatoes. They've been producing for a couple weeks. I think that they are getting towards their end. There used to be rape here, but we dug it up because we could have planted some squash and things. Yeah. Then outside, this is our tree nursery. And some garden plants in there too. There's about 275 pots. Flower nursery. It's a spaghetti squash and a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin plant that hopefully should have some pumpkins by the time Halloween rolls around, and some different pumpkins. These are going to be Malabar spinach. They should grow into vines and cover this whole fence is my hope. They're all over the fences there. That's another spaghetti squash, and these are going to be sweet bananas. There's 3 of them. So yeah, this is our dry season garden. So if we come right behind the house, we've got first you run into our orchard. So this orchard started, I guess it was the first year that we were here. So you see this, this fence is made out of bamboo and fiber rope, which is just the inner bark of trees, a certain tree. And so the whole thing is made out of just natural materials that are just from the bush. So learning how to do that was something cool that we were able to experience here. Right now, you see all the little posts, that's where the fruit trees are. The rows are because, like the hoed rows are because we're planting chickpeas. I actually planted chickpeas here this morning between the trees. And so the reason for that is because they're really good legumes, and they also grow without much moisture at all. So we're at the end of the rain season here, but these chickpeas will be growing basically without any rainfall for the last 2 months of their life cycle. So I'm really trying to promote those. And they also put nutrients into the soil, which will be good for the fruit trees. On the fence here, this is a passion fruit, and I saw some flowers on it the other day. Because it just rained, I'm not sure if the flowers are showing themselves right now. But yeah, hopefully that'll be producing fruit for people in the next year. Yeah, the other thing that we have, besides just a bunch of different kinds of fruit trees, we have a beehive. Some different kinds of bananas. This is a red banana, which is kind of cool, and a plantain. So this is a Kenyan top bar hive. Everybody in our community is a beekeeper, and so they use a traditional bark hive that causes a lot of deforestation. So this is just an alternative that will last multiple seasons and that the bees are happy to live in. And I just saw bees in here yesterday for the first time, because you kind of put it up and then bait it, and then ideally a swarm will find it. But you can see there is, I'm not going to open it because I think there's bees in there, but there's frames in there, which is something that makes it different than the traditional hive. So if you follow this little path next to the orchard, it goes back to our chabuslu, or I guess it would be like an outhouse in English, but we don't really use that word much. But yeah, it's our outhouse. Got some morning glories growing on the front here. And I don't think I need to show you inside. It's a hole in the ground, but a pretty nice hole, but a hole. And just past that chambuslu there, this is still next to the orchard. Go back and we've got a little area back here. It's just kind of a continuation of the chickpea field. These were planted a little bit earlier. I planted them last week. So by next week, we should have some baby chickpeas popping up. Dan goes into our little workout area. So made some bamboo workout apparatuses. Here we've got a dip pit. So there's a hole in the ground with these 2 bamboo handholds, and you can do dips and lower your legs down into that pit. Then this is just a pull-up bar out of bamboo and some nylon straps. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then this little area, I've got this pipe that I stuck bamboo in the side and then filled up these bottles with, there's like gravel in there and water, and they're actually quite heavy. So they've got this steel pipe with these bottles, and this little rack can hold it high enough to do squats with. Can move that same bar over here and do flat bench presses or incline bench presses with them. So it's kind of neat. So behind the workout area, there's this little field, this little mulberry tree in the front there. But this is kind of an auxiliary field that last year we did soy in. And then this year I'm doing sunflowers. So the sunflowers aren't quite mature yet. But in probably a month and a half, they'll be ready to pick. And we're going to use those seeds to make oil, is the main thing. And then the what's left over after you make the oil, you can use to make fish feed. These rows that I've left blank are for planting leguminous trees. I haven't moved them here, but it's called alley cropping, and so there's like 5 rows in between one row of leguminous trees. So there'll be an outside row, and then this inner row here, and there's another row on that side, and then 1 row on the outside that side. So those leguminous trees help to bring nutrients up to the surface, and they're also leguminous, and so they add nutrients to the soil.